You want to chat about anything else?
I don't think.
We cover your whole life.
I think so.
Your life's boring.
I'm boring.
Yeah, my question is, Blake, would you rather buy right now or 1 year ago? Why do you guys sometimes choose hard money over like going the traditional route of going to a bank and things like that?
So my degree's in accounting. I had like 1 semester left and I did an internship. I could not do this.
So it's almost like you guys built that 12plex
Yeah.
and didn't spend a dime at closing.
He wouldn't need me.
Yeah,
I'm
correct.
25 years old at that point. I've had my license for 3 years. What value can I bring to him?
Blake's been 40 under 40 for a little bit now. I think last year, what happened? You didn't sell enough units or something?
Yeah.
What up, Blake? I'm excited about this one, dude.
Let's do it.
I know.
I like it.
No, we'll dive into a lot of stuff. Like, I've known Blake for what? Maybe it's almost been 10 years, dude, hasn't it now?
Yeah, I've had my license for 10 years now.
Yeah, since we met on the golf course up on base.
Up on base.
That's where
I
we
still
met.
remember it.
I'm excited about this one because there's a couple different things. Blake's been working with a builder for quite a while. So the development side of stuff, you know, kind of working with him over the years through like these crazy markets that we've gone back and forth on.
Yeah.
That's been fun to watch. You know, just opened up a big pickleball facility down in St. George. Want to chat about that.
Yeah.
Coaching some high school kids for a little while. Yeah. That's always interesting to me. And then a lot of your background, like I think for myself, like I love Hawaii.
Yeah.
So what I want to know about is, you know, Mama Smithing, growing up in Hawaii, what it's been like. You know,
Yeah.
Your dad obviously is a doctor, done really well in his life too. So let's kind of start out for everybody that I guess doesn't know you. Like, where'd you grow up? What was life like in the Smithing household?
Yeah, so I grew up in Layton, kind of born and raised. We lived in Uinta for like a year. But really, I mean, it's just myself, and I have a brother who's 9 years older than me, so there's kind of a big age gap.
Yeah.
We like you said, we'd go to Hawaii like once a year because my mom was the only one that's here. Everyone else is there.
Yeah.
We had to, that was the only way to travel and to see them. So that was kind of the thing growing up, is we'd always be in Hawaii a couple times a year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went to Northridge High, played sports and stuff there, and then went on a mission, and then came back. Tried to figure out what the heck I was going to do with my life.
And your mom's been in real estate for how long now?
So she got her license when I was like 6. So that would be about 26 years she's got her license. So I kind of grew up with that. Grew up going to open houses, grew up going to showings when she was like, come with me. And I don't know who this guy is that I need to show a house to. Just like a safety thing. Yeah. So I grew up around it a little bit, but never in a million years I think that's what I'd end up doing. Yeah.
I think the question that I want to know, because your dad's what, an OBGYN? Uh-huh. Been doing that for a long time.
Yeah, so we practiced for 25 years in Ogden. Yep.
What's it like growing up in a household where like daddy's a doctor? Like, because for me, school, I suck at school.
Yeah.
So what did your dad and mom put any pressure on you guys whatsoever as far as like grades, what to do in life?
So,
you know.
As far as pressure for grades, no. Like I felt like I was a pretty good kid. Yeah. Like, so they didn't have to worry about that. But there was definitely an expectation as a child, like growing up, like you will go to college. Like it was never, I guess in my mind, thinking back as a kid, it was never like you can just go do whatever. It was like you graduate high school and after that you're going to college. Yeah. And it was basically go as far, we will help you as far as you want to go in college. So with that, with my dad being a doctor, he worked 80 hours a week. He was super busy. Then my mom worked, full time growing up. So, I mean, we were busy, but, I was kind of an only child in a way because my brother was so much older. Like he was out of the house by the time I was in high school. Yeah.
And with your dad, like, was there ever anything where it's like, did you look at him as like, hey, this is an amazing life? Because obviously
100%.
You guys you've had money for a long time.
Yeah. He worked extremely hard and it paid dividends, but, it was a hard lifestyle. Like he wasn't home a lot because he worked so much, but, and
looking back at that, like, do you feel like it affected your relationship at all?
Not really. He was super good about being present and he'd always be my games and stuff that mattered. But I think it was definitely like, I think he wanted maybe someone to be a doctor growing up, like one of his kids. And that's all honestly what I thought I was going to do. Yeah. Is after I was always like, oh, I'll be a dentist, or I'll be an orthodontist, or maybe an anesthesiologist, because they have like set hours. Like you're not going to deliver a baby at 3 in the morning. And took a couple classes at Weaver, some science classes, because you have to major in like science or something. Yeah. I'm like, this sucks. This is the worst thing like possible. Like I can't major in microbiology or whatever.
Yeah.
And then to do it, for 8 years. I mean, he did 16 years of schooling and definitely paid his dues, but it paid off. So super grateful for what he did.
Growing up here in your guys' house, obviously you mentioned, I know your brother, but your brother's 9 years older than you. What were the pros and what were the cons of like that age gap, or just the two of you?
Yeah. I mean, luckily we're both boys, so that was good. We had similar interests, similar and dissimilar. I mean, he loves like motocross, and we've been like snowmobiling and stuff with him.
Yep.
And so it's funny, like even growing up, we'd have like family trips, and usually it involved like a motocross race because that's what he liked.
Yep.
And then we'd catch like a game because that's what I want to do. So we'd go to like a Suns game and a motocross race, so it was always that. And then it was always just kind of tailored to that. And I mean, that was, I can't really think of a con, I guess. I mean, we were 9 years apart, so that's kind of a big age gap, but we were always pretty close, I feel like.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then you went to Northridge High School, played sports.
Yeah, played basketball and football, and
just dominated.
Had a good run there.
Just dominated at 140 pounds.
It was, I was always undersized and always, I was just fast, I guess, but it was one of those things where you just got to work with what you got. And
I always ask like people this question because I feel like a lot of kids grow up, or a lot of people that we interview that are entrepreneurs, business owners, a lot of them have played sports growing up.
Yeah.
Do you feel like sports in your life was something that taught you discipline, motivation, whatever that might be?
100%.
Do you feel like it's something that was super important?
I mean, definitely just working as a team, having a coach, listening, being coachable. I think that's always 100%.
Yeah.
It helps.
Yeah. And then after high school, because I want to get into this.
Yeah.
Went on a mission to
Samoa. 2 years in the islands, and that was good.
Yeah. Tell us what that was like, because I don't think a lot of people have been able to experience that or be down there.
Yeah. So not like a ton of walls, no AC, kind of living in huts, trying to speak a language. And I mean, the church is super strong out there, but it was super good. I learned a ton, like just life lessons, I think, doing that compared to anything. It was just how to work. And
how big are those islands?
Tiny. You get island fever. Like you could drive around one island's the whole thing in like 5 hours.
Yeah.
The entire island.
Yeah.
One airport.
How many languages?
Just one.
Just one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Make that easy.
But no, it was good. No complaints there. Then it came back, and like I said, like the expectation was go to college. Like I don't feel like I had any other choice, which at that point, like I said, took some pre-med stuff and I was like, this is the worst thing.
And at what point did you figure out like, oh, I want to join my mom?
Basically when I was about done with my degree. So it's good timing, but good and bad. So my degree's in accounting.
Yeah.
And I had like one semester left and I did an internship and I was like, I could not do this. I'd pound my head against the wall. It was an accounting internship. And, so my mom was like, you know what, you can come help me and maybe learn a few things. If you like it, then keep going. If you don't, then don't.
My favorite part about this story is it's like everybody, it's like everybody goes to college, they get a degree in something that they think they're going to enjoy, and then they figure out like, oh, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And
100%.
I don't know how much, like, honestly, I don't know a whole lot of people other than like doctors and dentists. Let's get real serious. But
for sure.
It's funny, like how many people graduate in a certain field and then they do something completely different.
1000%.
And your job requires zero
accounting. I mean, the one thing I will say that the accounting stuff does help me with is like with our developments and with the apartments is all the numbers, like with the lending, we have to be like spot on a lot of that stuff.
Yep.
So that stuff, I mean, it helps the numbers, but like if you were to tell me to go do someone's taxes or like audit someone right now, I wouldn't know even where to start. Like it taught, the school taught me nothing about that.
Yeah.
The only thing I think did help too is like how to finish.
Yeah.
How to finish something. Cause college was hard. Like it was hard to finish my degree. I didn't have to do it at that point. I had one semester left. I could have just been like, I'm done.
Yeah.
But just to finish, I think, proved myself that I could do something hard.
Yeah. Let's kind of dive into kind of like your real estate career, because I'm obviously super interested in Psion Homes or Psion Homes or however else people call us up and say the name.
People call it different names.
They just botched that name
pretty hard. So the way that came about is it was 2015. My wife and I were looking to build a house. Our broker Ron kind of introduced me to John, who's the owner of Psion Homes, and and we felt really comfortable moving forward. So we built a house with him, and at the time, he would build the houses, he would sell the houses because he had his own brokerage and he was an agent. He did all the marketing. He kind of did everything. It's kind of like a one-man show.
Yeah.
But he built a super quality house, and it looked really good. And I know I saw potential, but really it just started from there. He built our house, and that was kind of the extent of it. It wasn't like an overnight thing. Like, hey, sell my stuff. Like, it wasn't. It took 3 years for that relationship to really like build.
Blossom.
And
because how did you even get introduced to John to even build the house?
Through Ron.
Yeah. And then
Ron, after that, it was just like, I mean, at the point it was like he sells everything, he does everything. He wouldn't need me, right? I'm correct. 25 years old at that point. I've had my license for 3 years. What value can I bring to him? And over time, it was like I have to take value to him.
Correct.
So it started small. So I would take clients to him to build their house, and he did a great job on their house. And slowly, then I'd take lots to him. I said, hey, I know about these lots. Do you want to buy these lots? And then it got into, hey, here's some land. Let's develop it. And from there, I think, some trust got built and got formed, and slowly but surely now it's like that takes up a lot of my day now is Psion Home stuff. Yeah. Between the different subdivisions and the all the building and everything like that.
It's funny, dude. Like everybody that we chat with, because I always ask the same question. It's like, who introduced you? And it's always somebody that's like in the sphere. Yeah, always
100%.
So what's been fun to watch, I think, in our career, because like I said, we met like 10 years ago on a golf course, and we're like, hey, let's work together. And we had no idea what we were doing.
Yeah, 100%.
And I remember when you kind of got into Psion Homes, I remember us having a lot of conversations, and like I remember saying to you, like, dude, I think you're just spinning your wheels, wasting your time. Yeah. It took a long, like I thought it was like 2 years.
It was, yeah. It was 2 to 3 years of just like, because really he didn't like. He could have gone with anyone.
Well, the other thing too is he was just building custom homes at that time. So it was like 30 homes a year.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like he was trying to expand or get any bigger at that point.
Yep. And so really it was definitely a slow burn. And I think most people would have stopped by that point because they would have said, oh, well, why am I even trying?
Yep.
Especially because he can do it himself. He's been doing it himself. But slowly I think, that he doesn't enjoy that part. He'd rather build homes. He doesn't want to, work with the agents and the contracts and the appraisers and all that. He'd rather just worry about building.
Yep.
So I had to provide him value, or else
wasn't happening.
At
what point with John did it turn from like, hey, we're going to do custom homes into maybe let's go over to the track side, or let's go over to, a little bit more of the development
so
side?
it went from like super custom, I think, to semi-custom. It's really the staff that you have to build homes at that scale. And then just the manpower and it was probably, I've been working with him for about 5 or 6 years. Yeah, probably 4 or 5 years ago, it kind of, and just knowing your numbers and the way the market was, it was just probably 4 or 5 years ago doing that. Yeah.
And for him, like what made him go from doing 30 custom homes to like, now you guys got what, 500 lots right now?
Yeah, we got a lot going on. I think it was more the market shift, right? There was no inventory.
Yeah.
There was a need for homes that were still really nice. That wasn't your typical national builder, but something with a local touch and that you get a really good value for. And so I think the market kind of drove that. And then we kind of saw townhomes and apartments and things like that become more popular. And that's another story too, is just how that all came about. There was a piece of land on the MLS that I found, and it was zoned for 12 apartments. And I was like, hey, do you want to partner on this? Let's put this under contract and build it and rent it out. And it started from there and just continued something small like that.
Yeah, I think the thing that I give you crap for all the time is you're a lucky human being.
Yeah,
you've had a golden spoon since you came out of the womb.
I have. I've had a really good life. I always tell my wife, like, what's going to be the really bad thing that happens, but I'm waiting. For that.
And the only reason I say that, I think where Blake's been very fortunate, obviously added a ton of value to the builder. But when you talk about the apartment complex, what people don't understand is, you guys are able to go get a loan on the construction side of it and then put it in your guys' name. Since you guys own the land of the property, you guys are able to go ahead and do an appraisal. And it always appraises for more than what the build job was. And so with you guys holding on to that, you can use the appraised value versus the amount of money that you need to basically pay off or take a loan out for the construction. And the difference between the two is you can consider it the down payment. So it's almost like you guys built that 12-plex and didn't spend a dime at closing to close on it.
Yeah, so there was some, I wouldn't call it creative financing, but just ways to get around things. You can defer builder profit. There's things you can do. I mean, luckily with John being a builder, we don't have to, obviously he gets paid for his work, but we don't have to pay an outside contractor 10% or 8%, whatever, to build something and pay them at closing.
Correct.
Yeah, so we're super fortunate that way.
And I think the reason I bring it up is a lot of people don't know that. Like if you wanted to build a custom home or just a home in general, if you would go purchase the piece of land first and put it in your name, right? And then go ahead and do the construction loan, build the property. Whatever you owe on that construction loan versus the appraised value, it acts as a refinance versus a purchase. So typically when you go purchase a property, you got to bring in 5%, let's say, or 10% or however much money you want to bring in. But if you do it the other way where you own the piece of land, then build the structure, you can use the equity for the down payment. And so a lot of people don't understand that because that's an advantage to, number one, probably get out of mortgage insurance. That's the biggest thing here. Because a lot of times we just go to a tract home builder and say, hey, I want to buy this $700,000 house. Let's do this. And you don't own the lot. You don't own the lot. Yeah. And don't get me wrong. I mean, it's really hard to own a piece of ground and then get it, everything stubbed. And it costs some money.
And in that, in that instance, we were fortunate just the timing of the market and when we built it and what we're in it for. But yeah, it doesn't always work out that way. We have some other projects we're working through right now, but it's, sometimes it works out great like that and other times it doesn't.
How many different developments you guys got going right now between Bear Lake all the way down here?
So right now, so last year, people would say, well, where are you building? I've never heard of the company. Where's Psion Homes? And I'd say, well, right now we're from Bear Lake to St. George doing things. Different pockets with the pickler and stuff. But so right now we have Paradise Parkway, which is in Bear Lake. That's a 128 unit townhome complex. That's Airbnb approved. You're very familiar with it. You and your in-laws got a unit up there. Then move south. We have 110 plus 94. What is that?
That would be a lot.
204 units of townhomes in West Haven that we're building. And part of those are already built out and rented, and then the others are under construction right now. Then we have a 33 lot subdivision in West Point that we're in the second phase of. We built out the first phase. Then we have the really big one, which is the old RC Willey in Syracuse. So we knocked that building down. That will be 136 units total. So there's 94 townhomes. Make sure 94 townhomes, 42 single family homes. That's broken up into two phases. And then on top of that, we just have odds and ends of, people who come to us who own a lot that want to build. And then we have to manage. Oh, I forgot one. Then we have a 32 unit apartment complex that we're under construction right now in Clearfield. And that'll be done in like a month. And then, then that's just what's under construction, I guess.
How do you manage that?
It's all up here. Seriously, like a lot of it's in my head. We have a property manager that does like the rental stuff, but luckily, like he has a great staff. He has foremen on each job. He's busy every day. There's times I'm like, I don't know how he's up to Bear Lake a few times a week.
Getting that project finished.
Really, we have good subcontractors. I think that's one thing is just making sure you have good subs, good people working for you.
What's probably the biggest nightmare you guys have ever ran into right now?
Honestly, I think the hardest thing, building it's usually the easiest part. The hardest thing is getting it through the city, and then financing it is another logistical.
And when you say financing, you just looking for the money for the development?
Just construction financing. When you're talking about loans that are $10, $20 million, you can't just go down to, Introlend and apply for a for a loan like that.
We got billions, bro. We just don't give it to you.
You gotta find the right people. Then you have to make it in timing. You have to make sure it's built in the right time. Make sure it's rented out for the right rate. Then convert it into like a Fannie Mae loan or a long-term loan. It's definitely a long process from beginning to end, a few years.
Yeah. What's your suggestion to people that are looking to get into real estate, or I would even say development, because you're more on the development side now than just selling real estate? I mean, I know we've got one transaction on a townhouse. Yeah. That's our first one in probably 4 years.
Yeah,
though.
It's been a little while.
But for the developmental side of stuff, like what have you really enjoyed about that side of it versus just being a regular real estate agent?
Yeah, there's so many agents, right? And last year there was more agents in the area than homes for sale.
Yeah.
So everyone's doing the same thing. Like I had to find a niche that I enjoyed and that people maybe weren't doing. Obviously there are other people that are doing this, but and then honestly I just had to dive in. For example, the RC Willie subdivision, I remember we got under contract, bought it from them, and then he was like, all right, I want you to work this one through the city. And I'm like, okay, like how do I, and I didn't know what I was doing. Like I'd helped him with some other projects, just, running around with West Point City with the engineer and things like that. But he was like, I want you to take this from start to finish. And so that was, it was a learning process, but honestly, you just had to dive in and just do it. Yeah. It wasn't like here's A, B, and C, because every city's different too. That's the other part of it. Correct. About development. It's not like there's a standard process. I mean, they're similar, but every city requires different things. Every city has, different staff who analyze things. And the RC Willie one was a really good learning experience, and it took a year to get it through the city, but it was good. Yeah. It'll hopefully pay off in the end.
Yeah. What's the worst thing about development? Do you guys have a hard time finding land? Like what is it now?
we have plenty of opportunities for land, I feel like. Maybe working with cities.
You really?
Like, not that it's bad, it's just, it's difficult. Yeah. It's not, they have their requirements, and city councils, are very strongly opinionated, and they're the ones that make the final decision. Yeah. And sometimes you're at the mercy of them, and it's just learning how to smooth that over and kind of see what they need, what can benefit them, the city, and what can benefit you as a builder as well.
Yeah. Obviously we bought one of the townhouses up at Bear Lake. It's been awesome. But I feel like the nightmare that you guys had was the weather.
Yeah. Up there, it's been extremely tough. I mean, I was there on Wednesday, and the icicles are hanging in. Like it was, I think 23 degrees was the high that day. Yeah. So nothing melts. There's been so much snow this year. Everything's piled up.
I know, we were just up there for the weekend. Yeah. One of my lights is broke from that icicle.
Oh, well, I'll let you pay for that. Not under warranty.
Not under warranty. No, I enjoy the developmental side of stuff, and it's obviously been really fun working with you guys over the years. With John and kind of the loan side of stuff, because this is what's interesting to me a lot of times is you guys deal with a lot of hard money. Mm-hmm. And why I think for a lot of people it's like, why can't you just go to the bank and ask them for money? Because a lot of people that don't understand development or construction or stuff like that, it's like, well, I can just go to the bank and grab some money if I really need it. Yep. Why do you guys sometimes choose hard money over like going the traditional route of going to a bank and things like that? And what's the ease of that, and what's the nightmare of that?
Yeah. So the biggest thing with hard money is really just the convenience of usually it's people we've worked with in the past, so we already have a relationship with them. Yep. They trust us, they know us, and then it's quicker. There's not as many regulations. Banks obviously have huge regulations. Yep. They're cheaper, but they're going to have stricter requirements in order to get the loan. Yep. And require more money down. I mean, there's just a lot of regulations that they have that make it harder and a longer process, drawn out process. Yeah. How have you and John found hard money people over the years? I mean, he's been in the business for a long time, and has really good relationships and people that trust him that he's obviously gotten loans from and paid back. So they'll keep coming back because they want to make a good return on their money. Yeah. What are your thoughts? Should people get in real estate or no? It depends. I think it depends what you want to do, right? During the past few years, like everyone and their dog has their license right now. Correct. And so if you're just going to go the traditional route and do what everyone else does, then there's a lot of competition.
Yeah.
It's just finding your niche. And I still enjoy that side as well. I still love helping, first time home buyers. I still love doing that.
Yeah.
Cause that's obviously the first 5 years. That's all I did.
Yeah.
Was that. But it's also, everything's a grind. I shouldn't say that the development and new construction isn't, but
yeah,
it's different for sure.
Yeah. One joke that we make at work all the time is you're a torch bearer.
Yeah.
You're a torch bearer.
Yeah. Me and Roger holding the torch.
It's funny to us because, Blake's been 40 under 40 for a little bit now. I think last year, what happened? You didn't sell enough units or something?
Yeah,
you guys got like 500 lots and they didn't even...
Yeah, they changed it. They changed the requirements. Before it was based on, I think, volume. Or no, yeah, before it was based on volume. And then last year they changed it where it was just like how many transactions you could do.
Yeah, so you didn't do enough transactions.
I didn't do enough transactions.
500 lots last year.
Yeah, I guess not.
What's funny to it is the reason we make fun of Blake, because him and Roger are torchbearers, is just because when they announced it, they sent him, what did they send you guys? Fire pits?
They sent us like this, portable fire pit.
And they were like, what were they called?
I don't know.
No, but they actually said on the flyer that a torchbearer.
Remax torchbearer on there. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you guys ever see Blake or meet Blake, it's torchbearer.
Well, that's the hardest thing is I'm not like super into like the whole titles of like all that. Like it's just
it'll stick with you.
It is what it is. Yeah, it's gonna stick with just like that's why I made fun of you too, right? The executive first when Rhett came to Introlend, it was the executive finance manager. That was his email title. Then what was it? Executive it was executive finance manager, then it was like senior finance manager, then all of a sudden I got an email from him one day, VP of Introlend.
Nobody's climbed the corporate ladder faster than I have at a company.
Whoa, dude, that took like 6 months.
It's easy when you're the only person in the company.
Yeah, it's easy when you're in charge. You just change your title, like, yeah, you know what, change it to this.
Yeah, talk about the work. Like obviously I know your wife Marissa, we've known each other for a really long time. You guys got 2 little boys now. What's the work-life balance for you? What's the stress of a family and doing real estate and the amount of homes that you guys have?
Yeah.
And what's kind of the blessing of doing real estate and everything that's going on?
Yeah, I think it's twofold. Like it's great when to be able to travel and to have time off when we do, but the hard thing is like there's nights that I'm working, there's weekends. I'm gone to Bear Lake all day. I leave super early and come home late at night, and she's super supportive and raises those boys and makes sure they don't do anything destructive. But I think right now she understands that, we got to grind and there's still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah.
And you definitely can't relax and take it easy right now. And she's super supportive of that. She actually works full time as well from home. Does a really good job of that, but
she just makes the mortgage payment.
She does. Yep. She pays for the groceries and yeah, it does a lot of stuff for our family for sure.
Yeah. Let's shift into the hilarious story of your son.
Okay.
You gotta tell people the story of your oldest dude.
So my oldest Brighton, he's 4. His favorite movie on Disney Plus it's called like Giannis, like The Rise of Giannis or something.
Yeah. And for those people that don't know him, he's in the NBA.
So Giannis is in the NBA. He's been MVP. He's the best basketball player in the world. It's the story of him coming from like Greece. He was like deported out of some country into Greece. Yeah. Trying to get drafted. They didn't even have his papers. They're like, we don't even know if you're legal. It was a big story. Anyway, super cool story. Anyway, he was obsessed with that movie. And so now, like for the past 3 or 4 months, his name is Giannis. Yeah. When he goes to introduce himself, like, oh, what's your name, little boy? It's Giannis. And so Giannis has 3 brothers, right? So Giannis' 3 brothers are Thanasis, Kostas, and Alex. Yep. And for the past 6 months, since he's watched that, I'm Thanasis, and he'll say, hey, Dad, I mean Thanasis. Like, I'm Thanasis. And then our youngest boy, Noah, is Kostas, and then he has an imaginary friend named Alex. So we got the 4 brothers rounded out in our house.
I just laughed because we ran, I don't know who told me this story. I think it was Rod or somebody, but he's like, he saw him up at Bear Lake, and he's like, what's your name? And then he said it.
He's full on Giannis.
Yeah, he's just full on Giannis.
He believes it. He has a few jerseys, so we'll take him to the Jazz game when they play the Bucks and hopefully get an autograph. But he's obsessed.
Little kids are the best. Dude.
I'm glad he's obsessed with that. So yeah, it's a good thing to like.
Yeah, that's. I don't know why that story's so funny.
It's the best thing ever.
You guys got to meet him. That's the problem.
He's like the most outgoing little kid. He'll talk to anybody. But he's Giannis. So at night, there's another funny story. At night, I tell him a story, and he'll be like, Dad, just tell me a story of how my day went. I'm like, okay. So Brighton woke up. He's like, no, I'm Giannis. I'm like, okay, so Giannis woke up, and I'll tell the story, and he went and saw Noah. No, Dad, it's Kostas.
That's so funny. You know that's going to be his nickname for like the rest of his life.
Me and Marissa were talking, and it was like, our youngest is Noah, and I call him Kostas now.
Do you really?
The past month, I probably called him Kostas.
More than Noah.
And I told Marissa, I'm like, he's going to be like 30, and we'll be calling him Kostas. Like, it's going to stick. It's just what it is.
That's too good. That's so fun. I think the real estate stuff and the investment side of stuff, like you obviously own quite a few doors. What's been the blessing of, being your age, having quite a few doors as far as rentals?
Yeah.
What's been the hard part for people that are looking into like their first rental? What's the rough side of that?
So the first thing, like the first few years I was in real estate, I kind of thought, what's the long-term play here? I got to do something. And typically for real estate agents, it's rentals.
Yeah.
And so we'd only been in our house and we just built, and then an opportunity came along to buy a townhome. And it was scary to jump the gun, and we had to put down a big down payment. You had to put down 25% for that. And it was a big jump. And so it started with that one door. And then, I'd say the other thing too, you can partner with friends. Correct. So like Roger and I have a rental together. Yep. We have a rental together with some friends in Lehigh. They live closer down there, so the condo down there. Yep. And then John and I obviously have some rentals together. But yeah, it started with one, and then it went to a couple, and then we've got on some larger scale things. So now we have the 16-unit townhome complex in Clearfield. We're doing 32 units in West Haven. Yep. The apartment complex. So, hopefully that's the ultimate goal, is hopefully live off some rentals. And
any bad tenant experiences yet?
No, we've been pretty fortunate. We have a property manager for the big stuff that does that, so we don't really have to deal with that. I know they had to evict somebody, and just because they wouldn't pay. But luckily, I think that's the beauty of it too, is real estate can totally be passive if it's set up the right way. And I think having systems in place ensures that. Yep. If you're into the property good, have a ton of equity, you're making money with cash flow, and you're paying a good property manager. Yep. It's hands off. It's hands free. Yeah. And you're making money.
Yeah. Let's shift a little bit into the Pickler. I guess tell everybody kind of the story, like why St. George, why even that building, why did you guys even buy it to begin with, and then why pickleball?
So I've known George and Austin, who own the Pickler since high school. I grew up in the same neighborhood as Austin. So John, who I do business with, my partner, he had this opportunity presented to us. It's the building on St. George Boulevard. It was an old Walgreens. He knew the guy that owned it. They'd owned it for 40 years, since the 70s. Yeah. And he was just looking to get out of it, was just getting old and wanted to kind of cash out. And so we basically, he said, hey, do you want to buy this? And I said, well, sure.
What was the idea behind it when he approached you to even buy it?
It was just like, hey, this guy wants to sell. Do you want to buy it? And I'm like, sure. Yeah. Let's do it. I knew Walgreens was in there, and I knew St. George was up and coming, and it was a great location, and you couldn't beat it. Yeah. And so we bought it. Walgreens had like 6 months left in their lease, and we're like, okay, now what? Yeah. Like Walgreens has 6 months. The buildings,
and they were out. They were gone.
Oh yeah, they were gone. Walgreens has another store half a mile down the road. They don't need two stores that close. Yep. And then it was like, what are we going to do with this building? It's 17,000 square feet. It's on St. George Boulevard. And at the time, George and Austin had just opened the Pickler like a month before. Yeah. I went down there. You and I had that court. We have a court sponsored there. I didn't want to play pickleball that much. Besides,
we're playing.
Our Friday. Yeah, we're playing our Friday morning ones.
The secret compound.
But I told John, I'm like, hey, what if we did indoor pickleball here?
And what was his reaction?
At first, he paused for a second. He's like, all right, yeah, let's do it. Yeah. And I didn't know much about pickleball. I knew they had a great system. They had a great business. Yep. And it was like, hey, let's partner with them. I called them and I'm like, hey, are there any indoor pickleball courts in St. George? And they're like, no. And I'm like, that's like the mecca for pickleball in Utah. Like there's
every old person,
hundreds of courts down there, outdoor.
Every old person.
And so then it was like, you know what? You want to partner on some pickleball? Sure, let's do it. Yeah. And so Walgreens moved out. That took, that was a long drawn out process. Took a year to build. We had to wait 6 or 7 months for some steel beams to come from Georgia. Apparently there was the only steel beams that could support the entire building, because the building was so old. You know, I had those old, and pickleball, you need so much space. You had to clear out some space for some courts. So
yeah. And so how did you guys know the numbers would even pan out? Because you buy a building and then you look at the building and you're like, hey, well, we got to get a whole new structure as far as the roof to even be able to play in here.
Yeah, really.
Was it just so run down that you guys were going to do something with it anyways, or? Yeah,
we were going to do something. We knew it was just a good opportunity. We got really good terms. That's one thing too. We got awesome terms from the seller. He was able to seller finance because he didn't owe anything on it.
Yeah.
So basically he becomes the bank. And then we make payments to him every month, but they were really good terms that were maybe a little more favorable than a bank would give us. But obviously he likes it because he gets a return on his monthly, plus he's getting interest paid on that every month too. So yeah, that was a really good deal that I hope will pan out in the long run, and hopefully the pickler's there for
a long time.
Yeah.
How's it been going so far?
Good. Yeah. We've been open for a little over 45 days. It's been busy. I always check the Court Reserve app and see how busy it is. I actually check the weather first to see if the weather sucks, because that means a lot of people are inside playing.
That's so funny. No, I the pickleball thing's been very interesting to me. Obviously, you know, you guys got some ownership in the pickler. Yeah. They're doing some really big stuff. What's your guys' kind of idea with it? Is it something that you guys want to continue to expand on, or is it just like, hey, that's the one building that we want, we're pretty good with it right now?
Yeah, I think it'll be great long term, especially like you look at rundown like Bed Bath & Beyond's, Staples. Yep. Those are like the perfect locations for the pickler, because you already have the ceiling height. You have great locations typically where you have visibility. Yep. I think it'd be good to do more locations. I think they've looked at franchising and stuff. So I told George yesterday, maybe I'll move to Hawaii and open one up. I don't even know if pickleball's big there.
Yeah. Let's shift into Hawaii.
Yeah.
Like, your mom's Hawaiian, the heritage of it. You know, obviously I like to send you texts of people doing the, doing the haka all the time.
Making fun of
making fun of
ethnicity.
You.
Yeah.
But talk to us, like, I think for me, I'll speak for myself, and I think my wife too. Like, we enjoy that culture. Like, whenever we go to Hawaii, like, that's the first thing we do. It's like go to Lahaina, make sure you do the luau, make sure we're eating the food, make sure we're in the culture. What's it like kind of growing up in that culture? What is that culture like for your mother? Yeah. That's been bred into her, and what has that done for you guys as a family?
So it was pretty cool because my dad, he served his mission there, and then he went back to school there, and that's where he met my mom. So really, I mean, he lived there probably 12 years of his life as well. My brother was born there. Yeah. My mom was obviously born and raised there. So I mean, they did a pretty good job about like instilling some of the culture into us. Obviously, like my cousins who live there are way more like in it. Yeah. But I mean, I think just the culture of itself is like just like loving people, treating people good. Yeah. Super giving. Then on top of that, when I went to Samoa and got to be around those people, it was like that time. It was like Hawaii, but 100 years ago. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So
a little third world.
I can't have any complaints about that. It was good being raised that way. And
do you feel like you're spoiled a little bit? I didn't get to Hawaii till I was like 28 years old.
Yeah, dude. I was. Yeah. I mean, but we had an excuse, right? Oh. Yeah. We got to, that was our excuse, is we were forced to go visit family, and we got to stay with them, and we still try and go back once a year, but it's expensive to take all the little ones, but
whatever.
It's been good.
What island do you guys usually go to? Tell me something. Give us a secret on the island. On one of the islands.
I don't know. I'm probably like the whitest Hawaiian guy you'll ever meet. I don't know. It's funny. People are like, "What do you do in Hawaii?" And it's like, I don't know. We just hang out with family. Like we don't go to Pearl Harbor. We don't do the touristy stuff. My family's kind of like downtown Honolulu. Yeah. Then I have some cousins that live like on Maui and some other parts, but a lot of them, they're like, it's like big city living kind of where they're at right now. Yeah. When
you guys go there, is it a lot of the Hawaiian culture still? Or are they a little bit more
I don't think it is, but some of it is, but it's changed a lot, I feel like. Yeah. But I don't know. I've never lived there, so
don't know.
It's tough to say.
Don't know, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Favorite island?
I don't know. We just went to Kauai last year. Might be Kauai. Kauai was up there.
Might be Kauai right now.
It was nice. Not that touristy. Super cool beaches. Kind of, just one lane, one way roads each way, and I liked it. Yeah.
Blake, I kind of want to ask you about the market. Obviously, this last quarter, like the last part of 2022, rates spiked.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people that went through 2008, and John was one of them because he's been building for a really long time. You know, did it scare you guys, or was it, you know, because there's a lot of builders here in the state of Utah that just put their stuff on hold.
Yeah, a lot of people pulled back.
What was your guys' thoughts?
Really, I mean, you got to keep going. We're not the type to just stop, right? Because some of those that have just stopped are cash based, where they have the ability to stop. For us in our situation, as far as the timing of things, we were super lucky where we didn't have inventory when things kind of came to a halt. That was just sitting. Yeah. We were under construction or we hadn't started it yet. So we can make good, you know, business decisions then. But really now I think it's full steam ahead and we got homes ready to be built. Hopefully rates come down. Yeah.
And I think we've all kind of watched it, right? They kind of peaked in November. So you guys got really lucky because you just didn't have a ton of inventory. I know some builders got 150 homes, 200 homes sitting on the market during that time. You know, what is that, I guess with you and the developmental side of stuff here in the state of Utah, like what do you forecast or what are they forecasting? Because I mean, obviously it's a supply and demand issue.
For sure. And really they've said they had that economic forecast the other day. Really, there's still a shortage of homes. Yeah. Like people still need to live somewhere.
Any idea here in the state of Utah how short we are?
I think they said there's still like 30,000 units.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a rumor that I've kind of heard. It was like between 30 and 50,000. Which is still,
I mean, we're medium size and we do 60 or 70 units a year. Yeah. I mean, times that by 300.
Yeah. So it might be good to be a builder right now.
Yeah, I think things really come around. I mean, I feel like we're pretty diversified where we have new construction subdivisions. We have stuff that we're holding for rent. We have townhomes for sale. We really have everything at every price point, whether you're in the 400s or whether you're in the 800s. Yeah. There's something for you to buy.
Yeah. Yeah. And how do you guys feel like this year is going to go?
I think it'll be good. It's just getting through winter, getting through interest rates.
I know. I kind of feel like that Bear Lake development's been rough just because of how much snow sitting up there right now. Yeah, just so much
snow. Really, I think spring will be busy. I mean, now's a great time to buy. Like builders are offering crazy incentives that they haven't been doing for 3 or 4 years.
Correct. And I guess go into that a little bit because like the last couple years, you guys have just been like...
Yeah, it's been gangbusters. It's like, hey, here's a spec home. What's the price? Like, oh, sorry, we'll tell you a price when it's done because we can't even get a price from a sub because subs are so busy. Yeah. Now it's like, hey, we can get good quotes from our subs. We know the pricing. Here's the price, and it's, you know, if you get in early, if you go in now's an awesome time to buy. Yeah. The builders are offering, you know, the rate reductions, the buy downs. They're maybe a little more flexible because they have other stuff they want to build through. So I think if you can afford it, buy it.
My question is, Blake, would you rather buy right now or 1 year ago?
Right now.
Right now.
Yeah. I think you get a better deal.
Way better deal.
Your rate may be slightly higher, but you're going to refinance. Yeah. You're not going to have that rate for forever. No. But your equity is you're already in a better spot than your neighbor was a year ago.
Yeah. And like I posted this the other day on social media, which I usually try and, you know, now having a lot of loan officers under us, I think a lot of people ask me questions on like, what are rates are doing? What does this year look like? You know, and to keep people confident, it's like, I feel like I got to study up on this stuff now. Yeah. And I thought what was interesting the other day is when an article came out that said basically a lot of people on Wall Street are pulling their money together to basically have $110 billion to go purchase up homes, which I kind of forecast that 2023 might be a difficult year for some people because of multiple reasons. Number one, you had a lot of builders here in the state of Utah stop. Mm-hmm. So less inventory on the market now. Then if you've got a lot of rich people that are looking at these opportunities, because this is really the first time in a decade where we've seen a discount on homes, right? For sure. And I think people want to argue it's like, well, Rhett, they've gone, you know, they've 2X'd in the last 5 years. Yeah. And it's like, well, this is supply and demand. This is basic economics. Mm-hmm. This is probably the only time you're going to get a discount, probably in the next couple years here.
100%.
Unless builders really can catch up somehow here in the state. But I just don't really see that happening now that, you know, remote work, BYU, Utah State, like a lot of Mormons are coming in. Yeah. Tech is booming here in the state of Utah. Like, I think it's going to be difficult over the next couple of years to see home prices actually come down.
For sure.
And affordability to even be something.
Yeah, we're lucky in the state of Utah. Just how it's run, and it is still as affordable compared to everywhere else across the U.S. But
what do you feel like affordable housing is right now? Is it townhouses?
I think it's townhomes, and we got plenty of them for you. I mean, no, I think, and our townhomes too, we have stuff for rent.
Yeah.
And that's $1,800 a month, which is, cheaper than a house payment right now. Or we have townhomes for sale that we'll have in RC Willey that'll be in the mid to high fours that are 2,400 to 2,500 square feet that are big, that have a basement. And right now that's what's affordable. Unfortunately, I wish they were cheaper, but I remember we sat in an open house when we first started, a $120,000 townhome, new construction.
I know the first house we ever bought was $135,000.
Yeah, it's not going to happen anymore.
Not happening anymore. What do you guys see like development in the future? Because I think obviously we got the mountains, we got the lake. You got to go north or south. Yeah. Do you feel like as we grow bigger city style, do you see a lot of flag lots, like a lot of homes behind other homes? Do you see a lot of just slamming stuff in nowadays to try and get an affordable side of it?
Yeah, I think honestly it's going to be affordability is a big thing. So I know the only way to do that is higher density. Water's another issue. Luckily this year we've been good, but like St. George, I know there's a water issue. It's coming. Yeah. So it's getting water to everybody. But even I talked to subcontractors who are in like multifamily who are building like apartments and townhomes.
Yep.
That's not slowing down.
Yeah.
People are going to have to live somewhere.
Correct.
So I think really development for the future is it's probably higher density. Unfortunately, people probably don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
But cities have realized we need people to live here.
Correct.
And we can't do that with half-acre lots.
Yeah, and I feel like...
And it's unaffordable.
Yeah.
Well, by the time you pay for land, you pay for permits, excavation costs, you pay for the water that you just turn around and give back to the city for the water shares.
Correct.
Your costs are over $200,000.
Yeah.
So...
No, and I feel like the old days of like owning a lot of land is not fun anymore.
Yeah.
Because like even the house that we just built a couple years ago, we sat on quite a bit of property, but it's like the last 3 years were just the grass is dying.
Yeah.
And so you put all this money into yards, you make everything look nice, and then you run into water issues where it's like you got to cut back.
Yeah.
And then you're fighting with everybody thinking like we just spent a ton of money on trees and grass and everything like that. And so sometimes the HOAs, the high density stuff, like I think for a lot of people is beneficial.
Right.
People don't want to go out and mow a lawn. Or in this case, like where water's an issue, it's like, well, that kind of solves a little bit of the problem as well.
For sure.
And so I don't know, dude. I think over the next 2 years, I think this market's going to be pretty interesting with homes.
It will, for sure.
But I think you've got a short time frame here, probably over the next 3, 4, 5 months to probably pick up something at a discount before it flips back into not a whole lot of houses sitting out on the market anymore.
Yeah, we haven't seen a buyer's market or even a spot where a builder would accept less than asking price for
a long
3 years, 4 years.
A long time.
Now they're willing to pay closing costs. Like that was unheard of. So
yep.
It is a good time, I think, to build. Construction costs have come down a little bit, but not enough. Labor's still going up. You got to pay people to work. So
yeah,
I think we'll be in a good spot though. It's just getting through this little hiccup.
Good. You want to chat about anything else?
I don't think.
Did we cover your whole life?
Yeah, I think so.
Your life's boring, bro.
I'm boring. I was just thinking, I'm like sitting here listening. I'm like, I'm a boring person. I don't have.
No, the development stuff's awesome, dude.
I have little kids and a family, and I just go to work, and I do like development's not that interesting.
Life's boring when you got like good parents that aren't divorced.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't have divorced parents. I grew up. I had a great upbringing. Like I went to college. I'm in a good spot. Like
torchbearer.
I'm a torchbearer that doesn't. Yeah, I get to hold this stupid flame.
You're gonna have to cut this in somehow. Like I appreciate it. I think for a lot of people, for myself, like I'm interested in what you and John are doing.
Yeah.
And I work with you guys pretty much every day.
Yeah.
But I think trying to understand where this market's going, where everybody's headed. That's kind of the information that I wanted for everybody to know.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what you guys are doing, what you guys are seeing, and why right now is kind of the time to buy. So I appreciate you more than anything spending some time with me.
For sure.
Taking some time out
Not
of your
that
day.
I don't see every day, but
I know. Tell Giannis hi.
I will.
Tell Marissa
Giannis,
hi.
Kostas, and Alex. And I'm Thanasis, so.
Yeah, torchbearer Thanasis.
That's right.
That's funny.
That's right.
Cool. Thanks, bro.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah.